Hello, welcome back to LSBF TV for AAT students. Guys, my name's Joel Romana and I'm here with you now to go through personal tax. Personal tax, the tax that is applied to the individual, to you and I. It's not just about the salary that we receive. Oh no. There is a whole range of other things that are taxable to us. This session, we're going to look at company cars and the implications of being given a car by our employer. Let's have a look at task number 2, shall we? Now, as ever, when you're doing this assessment and you're sitting there stressed and alone, never fear, because you have a friend who is there to guide you. The taxation tables are available and will give you the information that is so important to help you pass. Here, I've opened up the personal tax tables that exist for personal tax. And what we can see, a rather streamlined document in relation to other documents that you may have seen. And what we've got is, in today's session, we're looking at the cars, receiving cars. And subsequently, just down here, well, we've got car benefit percentages and the car fuel benefit. How does that going to work for you? Well, in the exam, you've got to look out for some key language. First of all, petrol. Now, if you're going to receive petrol, you're going to get a scale charge based upon the emissions that your petrol car is pumping out. And subsequently, up to 50 grams per kilometre, you get a 7% sliding charge. Scale charge, we refer to that as. Between 51 and 75, it's 11%. 76 to 94 is 15. But the fun, the challenge given to you by the examiner is if you're driving a car that exceeds the 95 limit, because what it will therefore be is 16 plus 1 for every kilometre, or for every extra 5 grams per kilometre above 95. So we have to do a formula. And the formula that we will use will be the total grams per kilometre minus 95 divided by 5. And we will always round this figure down. That will give us our scale charge. Now, electric vehicles, all electric vehicles, if you read the news today, the government is keen to get electric vehicles on the road earlier than the deadline they've set, but electric vehicles are 7%. But we are working here upon the assumption that you're going to get petrol. But if you get the dreaded diesel, VW and all of the scandals that have occurred recently, you're going to be charged an additional 3% premium is added. So, your guidance is given. You have this wonderful sheet presented to you to give you help. And guys, we're going to look at fuel benefit as well. And there is a base figure that we shall see here of 22,200. So, keep yourself calm, stay composed, look at this data, and then take yourself to the question. Whoops, where's the question? How very unfortunate. Bear with me one quick moment and I will find the question for you. Here it is. Personal tax assessment week 2. Let's shrink that down ever so slightly. So good old Sam is the man Sam had the use of not one, but 2 company cars during the year. And we can see 12 months he swapped cars. The employer paid the running costs for each car. The employer paid the running costs for each car, including all fuel, which implies that Sam's personal journeys were paid for by his company, because all fuel, they've not just given him money for company business, they've paid for all of his petrol. That's a wonderful perk to have. The table below details all of the necessary information in respect of each car. Well, car 1 was used for a period of 5 months. It had a list price of $28,150 and a cost price of $25,130. And Sam made a contribution towards this car from his own pocket of $6,000, and we're told the scale charge happens to be 27%. Now, car number 2 was used for the rest of the year at 7 months, has a list price of $18,200, is $17,100 cost price, and the contribution there was $1,500, and it had a scale charge of 19%. So for 6 marks, you're asked to complete the following sentences to show Sam's taxable benefit in kind for the cars for 2016-2017. And you're asked to show your answers in whole pounds only. You're asked, and you've got to be so careful here because it's very, very easy to get ahead of yourself and to make mistakes when you feel that you are in absolute control. And what I want you to appreciate is the benefit in kind you're asked is for the use of car 1, and then the benefit in kind for the provision of fuel for car 1. Don't jump ahead of yourself. Be absolutely clear of that. And then you have another box for the use of car 2, and then the provision of fuel for car 2. Okay, so don't put the right answer in the wrong box. That will not be beneficial. Let's come away from this now and let's show you. Very unfortunate. I need another document. Bear with me, guys. Will this work? No, it won't. Okay, I know what I can do. So, I was supposed to be provided with a sheet, but I've managed to rectify that situation. This is going to be my working sheet now, and I'll call it as such. Workings. Where is my question? Here we go. So the task that we're asked for is the benefit in kind. The benefit in kind for the use of a car. So, the benefit in kind is a taxable benefit received from your employer. It arises because the car is used for both personal and business reason. So it's implied that it's used for personal gain. And subsequently, what you've got to know is the taxable benefit, and this is something you must learn because the tables do not provide this for you. Will equal the list price minus the capital contribution times the scale charge multiplied by the months used divided by 12 months in the year. Now, immediately, guys, the list price is what you're required to use, the list price. And subsequently, they have tried, they being the examiner, has tried to cause you distress and confusion by giving us the cost price. Well, we don't need the cost price. We can take the cost price and throw it away, discard it. It's not necessary. Don't need it. What we need is the list price. So that is relevant. Now, just a slight caveat here. An examiner has said that people do pick up the cost price, and that's why they put it there. But the other issue that I need you to be aware of. Please note the capital contribution is restricted for tax purposes, not for actual purposes, but for tax purposes, we will only consider a maximum of £5,000 contribution. And that's important because when we go back to Sam's first car, well, the contribution made was 6,000. So car one contribution equaled 6,000. This has clearly exceeded the maximum. And so for our purpose of the benefit in kind calculation, we will only consider 5,000. Now let's go back then to this computation for car 1. The list price of car 1 was 28,150. I'm going to deduct the 5,000, giving me 23,150. I'm given the scale charge of 27%, which will provide me with 28,150 minus the 5,000 gives me 23,150 times 27% gives me 6,250.50. Now remember, we're going to round this to the nearest whole pounds. That's not the figure that we shall use because this was only used for 5 of the 12 months. So I multiply by 5 and divide by 12 and I get 2,604. 2,604 is the figure that is going into my first box. The benefit in kind was 2,604. Excellent, there's our mark. Now whilst we're here and whilst we're in our comfort zone, let's do car 2, shall we? 18,920. 1,500, scale charge of 19%, used for 7 months. Now if you're working away at home with me, please do so. And let's see what you produce. So, give you a moment, but for car 2, we took a list price of 18,920. we deduct the capital contribution made by good old Sam, 17,420. The scale charge was 19%, which gives me 18,920 minus 1,500. 17,420 times 19% gives me 3,309.80, and Sam has used this for 7/12. 7 out of those 12 months, and I'm looking at a figure of, we round down here, PTAX 1,930. 1,930 goes into my box. I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. 1,930. Are you feeling good? Excellent. Let's go to the provision for fuel now, shall we? The provision for fuel, I showed you earlier on the tables that we need. And it's a rather unfair but simplistic approach that's used here. That base figure, we will just take that and multiply by the scale charge. So the provision of fuel, regardless of how much fuel is actually ever going to be used, is as follows. So the provision of fuel formula my goodness me, atrocious. The provision of fuel will be the base charge times the scale percentage multiplied by months used divided by the 12 months in the year. So we have for car 1 that base charge of 22,200. We multiply that by 27% and we multiply that by, well, let's break this down. 27% of that figure, 22,200 times 27%, so if used for the whole year, would have been 5,994, and let's multiply that by the 5/12. Gives us 2,497. We round down, remember. So guys, have a go yourself now. That's car 1. Why don't you take a moment and do car 2? Nice and straightforward. The 22,200 doesn't change. Remember, of course, this isn't the tax that's charged. This is just a benefit in kind that will be added to salary and everything else to calculate the final tax. What we're looking at here is the figure that will be included in that income tax computation. So 22,200. With sliding scale for car 2 was lower at 19%. So that gave me 4,218, which we're going to multiply by 7/12. And we're looking at 2,460. Excellent. So you're comfortable as well. This is a wonderful task, and we will go back to exercise 2 and we will put those numbers in our box. Provision for car number 1 was 2,497. Remember, it says whole pounds, we round down, and then it said 2,460, and again we round down. So we have got ourselves 6 marks. Wonderful. Any concerns? Okay, let's have a look at part B, shall we? Now this is a little bit more complicated, but we've got the time to do this. Complete for the following table by inserting the scale charge for 2016 for each of the cars shown below. So we've got car number 3, which is petrol, and car number 4, which is diesel. And the emissions both, let's show you, exceed the 95 grams. So the formula that we use here, and I'm going to just come down because I like to be on lined paper. So the scale charge formula for petrol, where it exceeds 95 grams per kilometre. So we're going to take 16 plus the CO2 emission minus 95 shared by 5 and add it on. Now the CO2 emission for this car is 181. We will deduct 95 and divide it by 5 because it's 1% for each. So 181 minus 95 gives me 86, shared by 5 gives me 17.2. We round down. We round down. So for car 3, we are looking at 16 plus 17, which gives me 33. Okay, and what I want to express here, that is the petrol formula. That's the petrol formula. If, and it didn't happen, but if it didn't exceed 95, we just have a straightforward swap a number into a box. Diesel, good old diesel. I drive a diesel, about to get absolutely hammered by the Mayor of London. So, sadly, for a diesel, the formula changes slightly. Where it exceeds 95%, 95 grams per kilometre, I must add. Well, it's still 16, that's the same. Plus, well, it's still going to be the CO2 minus 95 divided by 5, but we then add 3, which is the diesel premium. The diesel premium. So in car 4 we got 16, what's the CO2, plus 212 minus 95 divided by 5 plus 3. Well, 212 minus 95 gives me 117, divide by 5 gives me 23.4. We round down, once again, round down. So what will occur here is that we will take 16 plus 23 plus our 3 premium gives us 42. Now something that I haven't done, and something that the examiner has not made clear to us, but there is a maximum scale charge of 37%, and therefore car 4 exceeds this maximum, and as a consequence what we're going to do is we're going to ignore the 42%. It's not going to be applied, and we will subsequently replace with the 37% maximum. But I've showed you that working in its entirety so that you know the application of it. And going back now to my answer. Wrong direction, here we go. So the scale charge was 33 for car 3. It was 42 for car 4, but we are putting in the maximum. Wonderful. Get a company car, pay your taxes. Here we have it. Guys, I hope you found this useful. Task 2 in your personal tax assessment will normally be focused upon benefits in kind and in particular cars. The examiner informs us that common errors that arise is to overlook that maximum contribution of 5,000 and use, for instance in our example, the 6. Or other errors that are incurred is to use the list price instead of, to use the cost price instead of the list, which would be incorrect. And finally, when we looked at the scale charge, would be to ignore the maximum. You know the maximum is 37, please use it. This is the end of LSBF TV for personal tax. Stay tuned for the next exciting topic. Goodbye.